Hey guys, and welcome to another Zippo video. This video is just a quick explanation on the kind of things you want to do to your Zippos, the kind of Zippos that you want to practice tricks with, and I'll even teach you a couple of little tricks. So first, let's get down to it. In my last video I explained how you could tell if a Zippo was real or fake, the type of Zippo that different people buy, and the reasons why you would buy different Zippos. So that's that reason done, gone, that's out the window. So now you've got your Zippo, you've gone to the car boot, you've gone to the shop, you've bought it off eBay or whatever, you know, you've got your Zippo. Now, it's all well and good having a Zippo, but this is where everyone who's went off my last video and went, oh, let's go and buy a Zippo and then learn some tricks, you're going to hate me, because one of the best things you can do is learn how to do tricks with a fake Zippo. You heard me. Yeah. A lot of tips and a lot of tricks involve moving the Zippo about in your hand quite a lot, and as a result the same thing happens with everyone that buys a Zippo. You get the Zippo out in the pub to light someone's lighter fag, and somebody try, oh, have a look at your Zippo, they try a trick and it goes poof, and it's all over the floor, it's got scratches and it's damaged already. You know, it's really annoying. And the thing is that if the Zippo lands wrong, it can really damage the hinge and stop it from shutting properly. So that's one reason why I would suggest that you use a fake lighter to begin all your training with, and just simply for the fact that even if you drop it, even if you only go to the shop and you buy a cheap £2 one off the market, something like that, something that literally is a ton, the heavier the better as well, because you'll get used to the heavier weight in your hand, and then when you come to put the Zippo back in your hand, it's light as anything, you can move it about a lot quicker and a lot easier. So that's one reason, and it's probably the only reason as well. I don't know why I said one reason, but yeah, that's the reason why I would suggest you fake Zippos. So yeah, you got your fake Zippo, you're feeling like learning some tricks. This is where you're going to hate me some more. I'll leave the tricks to the end part of the video. The next bit I'm going to teach you is, if you've got a second hand Zippo, how to restore it and how to make it look, or bring it back up to a former glory. So if we take a look down, and I'll show you that pretty quickly. So as you can, my camera does like this. So, see what that'll say. Right, as you can see, I've got my Zippo. Now this is a Zippo I use every day, so you know it's got a bit of damage to it. You know, it's a bit dirty and things like that. But you know, it's, with a bit of a rub, it comes up fairly clean. Obviously you've still got the fat on it, but one of the big things that always troubles people is your flicks and wicks. So if I can find these, there you go. Now when you go to a Zippo store or any store that stocks these, now you can buy flints that aren't for Zippo, or aren't made for Zippo specifically. I'm just going to move that because it's doing my head in. Aren't by Zippo specifically for your lighter, and you know they're alright, a little bit cheaper, but when it comes down to it, Zippo make them for a reason, and they're not that expensive. I mean, you know, you get a little plastic thing with 1, 2, 3, 4, I think it's 6 pieces in. You know, it's fairly alright. It holds what you need it to hold, and you know, that's 6 pieces. That's going to last you a fair amount. And a wick very rarely runs out. It's only when it's used every day, and like by people like, say, a smoker that smokes 40 fags a day that has to refill it twice a day kind of thing, or twice a week should I say. So you know, I suggest that you really do go and invest in some Zippo stuff. You can buy any of these offline. I mean, you can get them on eBay, boxes of them for like 20 quid, which is about $30 something. So yeah, I'd always suggest as well that if you're buying anything, this is a little life trick for you. If you're in England and you're buying anything, buy in dollars. Now people are always like, oh no, I don't want to do that. Now a lot of the time, you know, sometimes it's a bad idea, so you just use your common sense. But when it comes to things like, say, a computer or a laptop, the prices you can probably save yourself about 50 quid. Just by using your brain and going to the American sites instead, and that's because of the exchange rate. That's because it's still like $1.7 to the pound or something like that, which means that it makes sense. So that's that. And you can also go and buy like boxes of these for like $20 or something. So that's another reason why I would suggest it. Now with this, it took me, like, this is where people are going to laugh, because when I first started collecting Zippos, I knew nothing about anything. So I started watching videos from Cutlery Lover, which will be in the description. There was a couple of others, and that's how I learned stuff. And even the first time I bought one of these, I thought that it sat in the Zippo somehow, and I could not figure it out. And I sat for a couple of hours, and then I realised how much of an idiot I was. Same thing happened with my wick. So I'm going to just get this out, and I'll show you a general piece of oh, damn it. There we go. We're not going to use that one because that's already new. So if we get this out, as you can see, I'm holding a little tiny gold thing, as you can see it there, and that is your flint. Now that will last you a good few hundred strikes east. That'll easily last you. And the way that you sit this in, I've already got one in here, but I'll show you anyway, is you get your Zippo, you take the insert out, and if you're on the bottom, you've got this bit here which says lift to fill, which is where you put your petrol in, and you've got this little thing here. And all you do is you might need a screwdriver or something. Mine's still finger loose because I use my brain and I'm changing it every so often. And you just turn it, and what you'll notice is as you turn it, you'll suddenly get a point where it'll just shoot up slightly. There, like that. Notice that? And that spring there. If I pull this out, you can see that this is what the side of that looks like. Now a lot of people, especially people who start collecting Zippos, who don't know much about them, make the same mistake everyone makes at least one point or another, where they think that this little thing here is the flint. It's not, trust me. This is just like a head to hold the flint in place while the spring pushes it up against the wheel. So that's what that's for, and that there. Now as you can see here, if I just turn it upside down, or turn it right way up, sorry, and you see this little thing here, this is the flint that was already in there. Now the thing with flints is you've got to change them out pretty often, and the reason for that is that if you leave them in for too long, they do actually disintegrate. They will just be turned into dust overnight. You're also going to use this for you also need to do this if you want to change, say, this here, this little bit of felt. Now a lot of people always ask, why change the felt, why do you need to? Well, first is because over time this will become frayed, and I used to have one lying around but I don't anymore. The thing is that this can go from being that thick to that thick just because it becomes so frayed from use, because you're constantly lifting. So you need to take that off to get it off anyway, and it just sits around this little I don't know what they call it, tube. So that's all that does. If I just, as you can see, I just slide that back in place, and then I'll put this other bit of flint back in, and then that's how you change your flint. Now a little tip here for people who use Zippos a lot, even if you use it for tricks, or you use it for just general use, this little flap here holds 2 or 3 pieces of flint perfectly fine, and they don't disintegrate with the petrol or anything like that. It holds them really well, and that's that sorted. Now I won't change the wick because it's a bit of a pain, and I won't do that for you here because I can't be bothered essentially, but I will show you what the wick looks like. Now, for those of you who used to have wick candles, it looks exactly the same. Nothing different about it, it's just a wick with a bit of copper wire around it to hold it straight, essentially. So this is what it looks like. And as you can see, you've got the copper wire. If I rotate that slightly, you can see it shining in the light. And it's just a bit of wick, and basically all that happens is it's not a straight wick either, so it doesn't just sit there like that and you have like X amount left over. It sits, if I hold that there like that, it doesn't just sit straight down like that, because otherwise there's no point. You've got such a wide lighter for no reason. What it actually does is it curls around on the inside like 3 times like that, so you end up with something like that inside here, surrounded by cotton wool, which is what holds the petrol. So that's what the wick is. And to change that, I'm just going to put this away so I don't lose it. To change that, all you do, and this is a bit of an odd one, because a lot of people, when they first get a Zippo, they'll change the wick straight away. You don't need to, really. If you have a look in the top of the chimney here, you can see the wick there. Basically, with that wick, all you need to do is, if it's looking a bit, down and out, dying slightly, all you need to do is get a pair of pliers or something, or even if you've got thinner fingers than me, just your fingers, and pull it up and pull it out to about so that you've no longer got any soot or anything like that just below the top of the chimney, and then just get a pair of scissors and snip it. Now obviously over time, you'll run out of wick, and it will get lower and lower, and by that point, probably about 3 or 4 times I'd say, you can pull it up, and then after that it's just easier to change the wick. It's just saves you from having to try and poke out the little tiny bit of wick you've got left in there, because you pulled it up to the point that the rest of the wick sits just underneath the top of the chimney, for example. So it's just easier to do it like that. And that's just the 2 main things that people ask questions about. So that's that. The next thing for doing a little restoration is buy some alcohol. And I don't mean beer, I mean actual alcohol, or alcohol wipes as well. They work really well. And all you do is, when I put these away, I'll explain this while I'm putting these away. All you do is you just get some alcohol and some earbuds or some cotton buds, depending on where you're from in the world and what you call them. And you have a little bit of like a small dish or something full of alcohol, and you quite literally dip the cotton wool in, or you rub it on a bit of a towel, and then you just rub the Zippo in it, and it brings it up something similar to this. It's nice, clean, shiny, and it looks nice, basically. So that's where it brings it up to. Obviously it doesn't do it perfectly, but it's just one of those things when I do it on my sleeve, it doesn't do it perfectly. With alcohol, it really brings it up. You can also do it with some of the Zippo petrol, which I have. There we go. Here, which comes in a tub like this, and obviously it's flammable, and you can kind of use this to clean it. I wouldn't suggest it because it's petrol, and petrol burns, and but I have done in the past when I've run out of alcohol. Also, you want to do the same thing with the cotton buds on your chimney and inside your lid as well, because it just makes them look cleaner, nicer, and it means that if you do a couple of tricks where it involves you having to put your finger in there, you don't bring it out with it all sootened or covered in soot. And the same around the chimney. I mean, I've bought Zippos where the entire top of the chimney has just been covered in soot. Now, you will have on the inside of here areas where it will just become soot straight away. That's something you can't really help. It's just one of those like life things that happens. You just accept it and move on. So that's just one of the little. That's pretty much Zippo care and Zippo restoration for you in one. The only other thing really is if you damage it, do what everyone else does: send it off to Zippo. Now they don't guarantee the finish of the lighter, but they guarantee to have it working, and that's a lifetime value for the lifetime of the lighter itself, and it's totally free. All you need to do is just stick it in an envelope and send it off to Pennsylvania, and you'll get it back anywhere between 2 or 3 weeks if you're in America, up to a month or 2 if you're in England. So that's that. So that's that area of the video done, and now let's get down to some tricks, the thing that you've all been waiting for. So what's the best thing to do when you want to learn tricks? Well, obviously, like I've already said, you want a fake lighter. Now I'm going to use my real Zippo because I don't have any fake ones lying around. So yeah, so basically one of the first tricks I ever learned, which is one of the most simplest tricks, is this. And as you can see, it's just a way of opening the Zippo. If I keep doing that, you can just see it looks pretty cool. It looks alright. So that's what you want to do. So this is what I'm going to teach you. I can't remember what it's called. I call it a spin open. Obviously, for those of you out there who go around looking for tricks, you will notice a lot of tricks that are under different names that are the same trick. So there's one that I call the spinning top, which is this one, which goes under a different name somewhere else as I can't remember what it's called, but it goes under different names everywhere. Now there is one trick out there which I won't show you, just simply because everyone knows it, and it's alright, it looks kind of cool, and it's called the Twilight Zone, and that's the one where you light the Zippo, you grab the flame and you throw it back. Now it looks alright, it looks kind of cool, and there's enough videos on YouTube that everyone can do it. It's probably one of the first tricks that everyone learns. So that's that. So you've got your fake Zippo. Now don't fill it with fuel. There's a reason for this. When you first start learning how to do Zippo tricks, you don't particularly want to be lighting your Zippo. As you can see, this one's got no fuel in it, and there's a reason for that, and that's because if you're practicing the moon, now obviously this one, your finger's not going to come into contact with the chimney so much, and you're not going to have it open that much. The other problem is, the other reason is because every time you light the Zippo, it heats up slightly, and I got to a point at one point where I was doing a trick that many times practicing it with the Zippo with petrol in it, that I went to open it and sat my finger against it by accident, just doing the movement, and burnt my finger. So that's one reason, and it gets really warm as well. So you just want to be careful with things like this, guys. So that's one reason why you don't want to have any fuel in it, but you do want to have a bit of flint in it, and that's just simply so that you can tell if you're doing a trick and you're just tapping like that, that's nowhere near enough, apart from the odd every now and again, to light the Zippo. You want to be doing enough to get that flash that you see in the chimney every time. So how do you do this trick? Well, all it is simply is, I do it slowly, okay, the basic physics of it is, it moves up there like that, and then it flicks out because it's suddenly got a lot of movement, opens up, right? But that's just the physics of it. The actual way you do the trick, get your Zippo, right, get your hand, whichever hand you use, you can use either one, but I would suggest if you're right-handed, use your right hand, if you're left-handed, use the left hand. That's just common sense, but you'll be surprised how many people will attempt a trick with their left hands just because they want to be a slightly ambidextrous or something like that. And as you can see, my left hand isn't so strong, so I'm going to use my right hand. And all you do is you grab the Zippo and you put your thumb on the back side and your first and middle finger on this side, so you're holding the lid. I'm not even holding the rest of the Zippo, I'm holding the lid only. And then you support the bottom of the Zippo with your ring finger like that. So that's what it looks like. You know, it's kind of hidden, which is why it looks kind of cool, because if people just see your hand with a Zippo like that, you know, or you just bring your hand up like that and then you flick it out, it looks cool. So what you do is you quite literally, you just pull the Zippo towards you with a bit of force, obviously. So you pull, hang on. So you pull. I've done that wrong. Give me a chance here, guys. Right, this is the first time I've done one of these videos. So as you pull it towards you, you move your middle finger up so that it sits on this bottom part of the Zippo here with your hinge still up, and then you just pull. And as you can see, I need a bit more force there. There we go. All you do is you quite literally just make a fist. It's the best way to describe it. Try making a fist while still holding the Zippo, and you end up with that movement. Yeah, that. You quite literally just pull it into this area of your hand, the whatever you want to call it, the crook, whatever, and you quite literally just pull it in. Can't do it backwards, hang on. Yeah. Just the same move over and over, yeah. You just pull it into yourself. Now, this is another simple trick. It's one of the first ones everyone learns, and you know, there's probably lots of other videos out there explaining it slightly better and slightly differently, but this is just a simple trick, and it looks cool. Yeah. Once you've opened it like that, just open your hand up, allow it to sit on your hand like that, and then just strike it however you want. Yeah. I know some people that do it like that. I know some people that use that as an opening move, flip it around, and then do something here with it and light it, and there's lots of other different ways you can do it. Now, as you'll see, I keep just flicking my wrist to close it, right? Now, a lot of people, when they first get a Zippo, they try it and they end up with this, where it does that, right? And they get it every now and again, but you know, it doesn't quite always make it. Now, there's a reason for this. Basically, it's because you're not using your wrist enough. When it comes to Zippo tricks, the dexterity of your hand, the strength, and your wrist all count as one. So, basically, there's different ways to learn how to increase your dexterity. One of the best ways I've found, there's a couple of little ways to get your dexterity up, and I suggest you do this before, while you're learning all the medium, all the beginner tricks, because when you move on to the intermediate stuff, you're doing stuff like this, you know, and it involves it moving around your hand a lot, and it can, if you're not practicing enough, it can look like crap. You can drop the Zippo and things like that. So one of the little tips I've learned how to do is, if you're in America, grab a dollar coin. And that's, I think it's a dollar coin, it's pretty big. If you're in the UK, a 2p piece, I'm using a 10p piece here, but a 2p piece will work fine. It's slightly bigger and it's easier, and you quite literally just want to learn how to fold the coin over your knuckles. Now, obviously I'm using a 10p piece, so it's slightly smaller than what I'm used to. I'm using this to increase my dexterity. Now, a lot of people look at this and, oh, how do you do it? So basically, I'll show you how to do this, and then I'll show you how to do the other one as well. So you start off with your coin. You put it on your thumb like that, and as you can see, you know, you can move my thumb around quite a fair amount before it wants to drop. So you put it on your thumb, you put it on the back of your first finger knuckle here, there like that. Then you move your middle finger up, catch it like that, don't do that, and catch it so it's straight up, and then you let it fall back onto that knuckle, lifting your first and middle finger up, lifting the first up to move it onto the knuckle, or middle finger up to roll it, and then this is the most difficult move for a lot of people, which is how to catch it with your little finger. Now all I do is I catch it and move it down, and then underneath I just catch it with my thumb and then start the whole process off again. Basically, the first couple of times you'll do this, it will take you forever, and you will take forever doing it, but the best thing to do really is to sit with a towel on your lap, because there's nothing worse than when you try and learn how to do this thing, this noise every time when you drop it, because you'll drop it a lot, but after 3 or 4 hours you'll start getting the hang of it, and then leave it a day. You come back the next day and only do it for an hour or 2 hours, and you'll notice that the muscle memory kick in. And basically it's that muscle memory that you want for your dexterity, because the muscle memory that you have for rolling a coin across your fingers is the same muscle memory you'll use when rolling a Zippo around your hand. Yeah? So that's one thing. The next thing you want to learn how to do, if I can find something, get a battery or a pencil about the same thickness as a Zippo. And all you want to do is learn how to roll that over your fingers, yeah, and increase your dexterity that way. As you can see, I keep dropping. That's because I'm doing it slowly than what I normally do. But you're just wanting to learn how to move it around your hand like this. Now a battery is okay. I'd suggest a pen, which is bigger and it's more precise to the length and the bulkiness of the Zippo. Basically, once you've got to the point where you're doing normal tricks like this, and also you can move the coin across your fingers and things like that, then you'll be ready to move on to the intermediate stuff. But this is just a beginning lesson. So that's your first trick, your spinning top or whatever I called it. Yeah, that trick. Next trick that a lot of people want to learn to do is this one. Now this is pop-up, I believe, or top pop.
And basically it's a simple trick if you do it properly. Simple trick, cool, you know. I'm going to teach you how to do Zippo. So, Zippo, and you want to, you can do it many different ways, but same move, I which way, with it around you do something like that. Obviously, this way is slightly more difficult than this, but like the basic way that a lot of people learn is make a C shape with your hand and slot them in between with the hinge pointing away. So if you're using your hand, it's pointing to the right. And all you want to do is you want to put the flat on the bottom of the Zippo, and your first and middle finger, as you can tell in me, like, it pretty much takes up the whole thing. I can do it with one finger, yeah. So I suggest a minute you use 2 fingers and you on one corner, and then all you do is move your fingers down like that. So you move down like that, and the force is the top. So you literally do the movement that, but on the Zippo in between it, and you end up with the Zippo held with your top open. I'll just quickly do, you see that movement? Obviously quick for this. So it's the same, you just pinching the Zippo. And once you can do this one easily, it's quite easy to then start doing it with a single finger, or even turning the Zippo. Now, do it like that, which is the actual, I think that's the James Bond, which is the same move, there's nothing different about it, it's still the same movement. So, you open it, you bring it to the hand, set it. Open it, bring it to the hand, light it. So, that's that's another trick. So you've that one, And obviously I went out of it once, so I'll try that again. So you've got your normal open like that, you've got your pop top, your James Bond, and that's pretty much it. You know? I haven't really explained this, but essentially a lot of moves when it comes to Zippos are the same move, they're just the Zippos in a different place, or you use a different finger for the same move. So obviously I go with that finger for a reason, but yeah, it's the same move, as opposed to round. So that with a lot of Zippo tricks, so you'll find that and it'll be the same. So I'm going to show you with these. The video's gone on for quite a while, so if I just tilt that back up. So like I said, guys, this video, I hope you enjoy it, and please comment on my teaching style. I understand that it is a bit, wacko and it's a bit off, but I find that doing it like this here, because I remember trying to make 4 or 5 different tricks with the same move. So, just bear things like that in mind, and I'm going to stop talking now because I'm just on. So, thank you very much, thank you for watching. Please comment, rate and subscribe, and enjoy.